All right, here we go. It is time for Southeastern Rewind's Tell Me More. Hey, y'all, I'm David Summers with the Tennessee stud Ron Fuller, answering 5 questions from the latest Studcast, now on Ron's new home on YouTube. The 5 questions on this edition of Tell Me More come from Studcast original episode number 15. It's called Calling the Hogs. Remember to find Southeastern Rewind on YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell to get reminders on when the greatest stories in wrestling will be dropped on YouTube. And be sure to tell your friends about Southeastern Rewind. Hey, Stud, I know we say it every week, but man, it's getting good. It's getting big, and it's getting even better this weekend because you got some new stuff landing on Southeastern Rewind this weekend. Other than that, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, just beautiful, man. Beautiful day here in the Smokies. Big old cloud today. I took a little ride into Newport, and on my way back into the mountains, I saw this little thunderstorm over top of my mountain, man. I'm serious. And, as I drove probably 10 minutes toward the mountain, the thunderstorm grew, man. I could just watch it grow, and it was like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. Man, it's part of living in the mountains, man. It's an experience, and I've never had before.
How long since you've seen a bear? Because you have one nearby on occasion.
I saw a bear. We had a bear here 2 nights ago.
Okay.
Actually, 2 days ago, and I was recording a podcast with David Pinzer.
Right.
And my lady spotted the bear in the creek again, man. Daytime. This was daytime.
Right.
Hot day. And right there in the backyard, man. Wow.
What was the bear doing in the creek?
Laying on his belly, man, in the middle of the waterfall.
Oh, that's awesome. That's perfect.
Right under the waterfall, man. It was running right up his hair, man. Right up his back and off his head.
Oh, yeah.
And he was being a bear, man. It must be good to be a bear, Dave.
Oh, that's nice. A lot of people don't realize, though, you can't just put the garbage out in any old fashion, any old way when you have bears around. You have to be more particular about what you do with your garbage.
Oh, yeah. And you can't pick up one on the side of the road, a little cub or something.
Don't pick up the small bears? Oh, you just ruined everything, Ron.
No, it's the big old mama comes along to ruin it.
Oh, there's that. Okay. All right, that's cool. All right, so this weekend, there's something special happening on Southeastern Rewind. And it has to do, this is the first episode of the USA TV show from 88?
From 1988.
Wow.
Wow. And I've watched it. The first time I've actually seen it since 1988, and it looks like it was made yesterday. It's just the quality of the program is just tremendous. The bullet starts off the very first one and the very first match. Wow, it's just a thrill, man. Fans are going to be seeing this that have never seen any USA Wrestling television show before, and I think they're just going to be they're going to love it. They're going to love it. So much talent. I really forgot how much talent we had in that program, and wow. It was really, really great. That comes out. It's going to actually go this Sunday. If you're listening to this today, which this is going up, I think, which is a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, it goes right on after we produce it here today.
Yeah.
And if you're watching a couple of days from this Friday when this one goes up on the air, you'll be able to see on Sunday at 3:00 Eastern time, the first USA of 25 sequence.
The first of 25 episodes.
First of 25 episodes in sequence.
Yeah. That's the cool thing. You can follow the storyline. That's one of the things, if you get frustrated like we do when we go to YouTube occasionally, you think, oh, there's an old wrestling show and the sound is garbled, the TV picture is out of focus, and it's like, okay, well, what is this that we're watching? So that is not the case here. As you said, you got great quality on the video, and you're following the storyline. So at least that's worth watching. So, and folks are going to be, if they're as fired up about this as they were the last video that you just loaded, that thing's really knocking down some hits.
Yeah, that Southeastern 1978 show.
Yeah.
Wow, it just went crazy on the YouTube channel. And Dave, we're going to be the only wrestling YouTube channel out there that runs wrestling programs in sequence.
That's cool.
And I believe that's what's going to make the Southeastern Rewind the place to go, because fans are going to get to see it like they used to in the old days in sequence. They're going to be able to follow the angles and the storyline and the programs between the wrestlers and the feuds, and all the things that made it work are going to be only found on Southeastern Rewind.
That's cool. And it is so important to hit the subscribe button, and then you also want to hit the ring the bell, because that way you'll be notified that every Sunday at 3, I assume that's when it's going to be, on a weekly basis, then another show will appear. And so you can keep them straight and you can keep them lined up, and you'll be ready to go. That's going to be a lot of fun.
3 p.m. Eastern.
Got it. All right, so today, by the way, is Friday the 13th. Doesn't bother me, doesn't scare me one bit of 2021. So you're talking about Sunday, only 2 days away from today. So that's the 15th of August. So we'll be watching for that this Sunday. All right, Stud, 5 questions. You ready?
I'm ready, my man.
All right, here we go. And again, it's from episode number 15, which is called Calling the Hogs. And question number 1, Jeffrey Austin says, did it ever dawn on Buddy that it might not be a good idea to move around so much during your childhood, or did he do it knowing you would both be wrestlers one day?
I assume he's talking about me and Rob, obviously,
Yeah.
both of us. And I got to, before I jump into this, Dave, what a crazy name for an episode, man, Calling the Hogs. I mean, what the heck does that have to do with wrestling? It's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But when I think back on this episode, we're farming, man, in Mississippi when this is all going down, and we're raising hogs, and there's a neighbor next door that's raising them too. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably get more questions about that particular subject as it goes on. Mm-hmm. But thank you very much here, Jeffrey. I think the name was, and my dad was, my dad moved us around a lot. There's no doubt about that, and there's no denying it, and I'm not even trying to, but I don't think it was because my brother and I were both going to become wrestlers. I think he was basically searching for a home territory, someplace that he could settle us down, someplace he could be there and not only handle the booking, but own the company and be there for the rest of his life. But I had a great grandfather, man, named Ed. He was half-breed Indian, half-blooded Indian, and he had a penchant for wandering around the country, man. The stories I have of Ed are all about his leaving home. He had 4 sons and some daughters, and gosh, he had a huge family. He had children stretched out over a 20-year period of time. And he would leave home in the early days when he only had 3 sons, and he would just, without saying anything, he would be gone. They'd wake up in the morning, and I guess his wife, who was named Bird, and Bird would say, Ed's gone, and the boys would go, well, where'd he go, Mom? And she'd go, I don't know. I guess he'll be back today or tomorrow or whatever. And Ed would be gone for months.
Wow.
So my dad, I guess, got a little bit of that in him, and he liked to wander a little bit, So, and I know it seems bad to a lot of people, raise your kids that way, constantly moving from one part of the country to another part of the country. Mm-hmm. But, oddly, after living that lifestyle, I kind of believe, Dave, there's benefits to being raised that way. And I was raised that way. So, and some of the reasons I believe it is, when you move all the time, you get to see the country, man. You get to see how different everybody lives in different places in the country.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of people live in the same place all their lives, and they're astounded when they go somewhere else. They're shocked sometimes. What's this all about? So and it also helped you learn. I think it helped you learn how to interact with so many different people. We were in Arizona with, a lot of Mexicans. We were in different parts of the country. And, I think it helped us in a way uh, as we grew up because we had been so many places and we had seen so many things. And, the old saying, Dave, travel up broadens the mind.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. Yeah.
and that's true.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really believe in that, because uh, wow, you just learn so much when you travel and when you experience different things. I think you become more sensitive,
Hmm.
worldly, And I've been lucky. I didn't just travel in the country in the United States. I did that until I got into wrestling, but then I started traveling the world, and it makes you more worldly. You just see how. One thing you see, Dave, is how precious our country is,
Mm-hmm.
precious where we live.
Yeah.
There's nobody that has what we have. There's no country like our country. And I've been to a heck of a lot of them. There's no place in the world like America in the United States. So it just helps you to communicate better. And, when I think about it, a good example is the military families.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Kids have grown into military families. It seems like that's exactly what you were going through.
Yeah. So I wasn't in the military. My dad wasn't in the military, but he was fighting every day.
Yeah.
But he wasn't using guns and stuff, I think there's a similarity in the way I was raised and those military families and those kids that were brought up in the military.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to number 2. Justin Taylor says, what was your favorite thing about tagging with your brother Robert? And what was your least favorite thing about tagging with your
Justin,
brother Robert?
well, that's a good one. That's a good one. And I guess thinking back on it, my favorite thing, I guess, was just sharing the experience of getting in the ring with my brother and doing what my family members before me had done for years and years, carrying on a family tradition, I guess is a good way of putting it. And that's what we were doing. And Jimmy was part of that. Roy Lee Welch and Jackie Welch were part of that. We had so many family members, the Fields brothers, and all their young sons that were part of my generation. They were out getting involved and refereeing and wrestling, and then there were promoters. We just had so many people in the family. It was kind of it was an honor. It was an honor to put on the tights and to crawl through those ropes and to do what your daddy had done and what your grandfather had done. So that was obviously, I think, Justin, my favorite thing about it, wrestling tag with my brother. And the least favorite thing, it comes to me pretty quickly, man. Uh, because my age and Rob's age were only 14 months apart, Dave. That's pretty quick, pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so 14 months apart, we were extremely competitive growing up, and being boys and being close to the same age, you know, I don't, you have a brother and your brother. I'm the older brother, and the younger brother, he wants to be just as good as the older brother at whatever it is that he does, and there's a little bit of competition goes on there that it sometimes could cause problems. Obviously, and I assume a lot of families experience this, especially with boys, is they end up fighting and arguing a lot.
What? Oh
No,
my
believe it
God.
or not, Dave, yeah.
Yeah.
you know, but most of the time they get over that.
Yeah.
But in my brother and I's case, we continued to fight on into the latter days, man. We were up in our 40s and 30s and 40s and 50s over who's the real stud. I mean, so And it's funny how that name, the Tennessee Stud, I came up with it in 1975, riding along on the road trying to figure out what I could do to stand out from other wrestlers. I
Mm-hmm.
needed some kind of gimmick, some kind of something that made me different. And I'm riding down the road and I hear the old song, Tennessee Stud. And wow, changed my life. You know, that
Wow.
night I became the Tennessee Stud in 1975. And before it's all over, years later, me and Rob are kind of having a little squabble all the time about who is the real Tennessee Stud. We're going to have some episodes, Studcasts coming up here. One of them has that name, I believe.
Yes.
Who's the real Tennessee Stud?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, lots of people think our feud, you know, was serious because of it, you know, and you know, I'm not serious about it, but I still don't know about Rob. I still think Rob wants to believe he's the real Tennessee Stud, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm really kind of joking, fans, but the bottom line here is, man, I love my brother. We're actually closer now than we've ever been, which is just tremendous. We talk to each other more than we ever have. Being apart, so far apart now, he's still in Tampa and I'm up here in the Smokies, and we just cherish the moments that we have together. And
Yeah, you said that you're closer together, but you're actually now, and you really were closer together because you live not far from each other, but now you're over 12 hours apart.
yeah, we were 5 minutes apart.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
many years, and now we're hours and hours apart. But I think in a way it's bringing us closer together because we spend more time talking to each other. And but great question, Justin. I definitely enjoyed tag team wrestling with my brother. We won a lot of championships together. Florida championship, Georgia championship, Tennessee championship, the tag championships, wherever we went. But our only problem was every once in a while, toward the end there, we had our discussions and our little heated discussions on occasion about who's the real stud.
Yeah. Hey, but is there anything to the fact that you're brothers, so you really know what to expect in the ring? Of course, you were raised with him learning your style and you learning his style, and that could be unique because you guys were raised from a young age. But did you know each other better in the ring? Did you know what to expect, what he's going to do next, etc.?
Absolutely. I mean, that was one benefit that all brothers in the sport, if their tag partners, have. I mean, you seem to know innately what the other guy's going to do when he gets into the ring, when he needs to get out of the ring, or what you need to do and how you need to lead him into that. It makes tag team wrestling what it is, a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And my grandfather has a great deal to do with tag team wrestling. You know, him because he had the three other brothers. A lot of tag team wrestling started in the South because of the Welches, and gave him an opportunity to have two guys in the ring, have three guys in the ring, and on some occasions, four brothers, 8-man tags with four Welches in the ring.
Wow. All right, let's go to number 3. Adam Worth says, when you moved back to Arizona again for the second time from Tucson to Phoenix at your age, did you notice any differences than when you lived in Tucson?
Well, that's good questions, man. Adam, yeah, there was a world of difference in many ways, and we were in Tucson when I was 14 years old, and we were in Phoenix when I was 15 years old. So there's only a 1 year's difference of time here, but I'm only just 1 year older. But we went from Tucson back to the farm in Mississippi, and then we came from the farm in Mississippi. We moved back to Arizona for the second time, but we didn't go back to Tucson where we were the first time. We went to Phoenix that time, and it changed. Everything changed. I went from junior high into high school, and I went to this monstrous high school. I went from a high school in Mississippi that had 100 kids in the entire high school. Uh, you didn't change class like you did in most high schools. The teachers changed class.
Oh,
It was just a small little operation.
right.
And I moved from there to Phoenix, and I went to Camelback High School. Phoenix people are certainly aware of that. It's named after a big mountain there in Phoenix, Camelback Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Camelback High School. I think it probably had more than 5,000 students. So can you imagine, Dave, switching from 100 students to 5,000?
That'd be a little overwhelming, to say the least. So
It was
yeah.
it was very overwhelming. And in fact, my first day there, I walked to home. I didn't even stay the whole day. I was so overwhelmed I couldn't find the classes I was supposed to be in.
Wow.
Because they had buildings like a campus, like a college campus.
So at some point during the day, you just went, well, okay, I'm going home.
I went home.
Just go home.
Yeah. I went home, and my dad was there when I walked in the door.
Yeah.
And he says, "What are you doing?" And is school over? And I said, "No, Dad." I said, I don't like it." He says, "What do you mean you don't like it?" And I said, "I can't find my way around. I can't find anything there. I don't know where my classes are. I don't know." And I'm used to 100 kids, and I'm in a place with 5,000, and I started in all these excuses. And he got up out of his seat, and he started grabbing me by the back of the neck, and he says, "We're taking a ride, kid."
So he took you to get ice cream.
I wished he did. Quite the opposite. He took me back to a place that I was really didn't like at all, and he dropped me off at the front, and he says, "I'm not leaving till you disappear in that door, boy." So not that my little desertion of school didn't last very long. I can tell you that. But but then what happened? The difference was, Adam. I think that's the name. The real difference here was that we both Rob and I started to get treated differently by my dad at this point. The year before, when we lived in Tucson, we never got to go to the matches. We were just boys. And all of a sudden, we started to become men when we went to Phoenix. And he started letting us go to the matches. Not only did he let us go to the matches, and the building in Phoenix, Dave, oddly enough, was called Madison Square Garden.
Oh, in Phoenix?
In Phoenix.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There was the Madison Square Garden in New York, and Phoenix had their own Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And we went down with Dad every Friday to wrestle. He took us, and he would give us jobs. And my job was to work in the ticket booth and just do little things, do whatever I needed to do. Business was really big. Dad had really built that town just like Memphis. Phoenix, all of a sudden, was a huge wrestling city. And so I had my job. And I got one story I want to tell about Rob. Rob had a different job. Dad put Rob in the back of the building. The building had a lot of doors, and you had to have somebody to watch the doors, because if the door got open, there were a lot of fans outside that couldn't afford to come in. And if the door went open, that was a free seat, right? There was a floodgate.
Right. Right.
And, hundreds of them would pile in there, right?
Mm.
So Dad had Rob at the least visited door, the least dangerous door, in the back of the building, back where the wrestlers were. And on one particular night, somebody knocked on the door, and for whatever reason, he opened it. And when he did, there was a lot of Mexicans that lived in that area, and they still do. Southwest, there's a lot of Mexicans there, and they'd never gotten into the matches, and a lot of them didn't have the money to get in. And when Rob cracked the door that night, somebody popped him in the eye through the door, and the door got open, and a big flood came through the door. And, So I mean, Rob and I used to joke him all the time about getting popped at the matches, But it was a strange experience. But yes, we did start to get treated differently once we got up to about 15, 16 years old. It was a different deal, and that age group and that time frame happened between the time we lived in Tucson and about a year later we lived in Phoenix.
There you go. All right, so question number 4, Shirley Bass says, your mother must have been a very strong woman. It seems a very strange upbringing for young boys moving so often. She says, I was just curious how many times you moved and where from the time you were, say, 3 years old until you graduated from high school. So from age 3 through high school, how many times do you think you moved?
Oh, Shirley. That's kind of a tough one. Geez, man. I mean, if we were just talking about 2 or 3 times, it probably wouldn't be much of a conversation. But I'm going to give it a shot, And I've never done this little deal here. I'm going to, by memory, try to remember where I was and kind of what age I was and where we moved to. So I'm going to play the game here for you, Shirley. Okay, let's see. When I was 3 years old, I was born in Dyersburg, Tennessee, and when I was 3 years old, we moved to Kingsport, Tennessee. My dad wrestled there in Kingsport, and he actually promoted a little bit for my grandfather. So when I was 6 years old, we moved from Kingsport to Mobile, Alabama. We lived in Mobile in 2 different houses. I can remember very well, and then we lived on my dad's first ranch, first big piece of property that he ever owned, from the time I was 6 years old to about 11 years old. So when that run was over for Dad in Mobile, we went to Memphis. So we moved from Mobile to Memphis, Tennessee. I was 11 years old. While we were in Memphis, I can remember 3 houses that we lived in during that time, and we're only there for 2 years.
Wow.
So we not only moved from city to city, we moved from house to house in the city quite a bit, So, and the 3rd house is that big one that we talked about not too long ago with Elvis Presley, where Dad had the big barn and the ring in the barn. And so, so the Memphis time was relatively short. And so we left Memphis. I was about 13 years old. And we moved back to Mobile for a short time. And then we went to this farm in Mississippi. He bought a farm, a big farm. Not a ranch, but this was just a farm. And we did a whole lot of farming. I was about 13, 14 years old, I think, at that age. Then we moved from there to Tucson, Arizona. And that's a pretty big change in environment, Dave, between Mississippi and Arizona.
Yeah.
In just about every way, weather-wise, site-wise, country-wise, the scenery, it all changes.
Culture shock. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So we moved to Tucson, Arizona, and this was I was in the 8th grade. And so my freshman year in high school, we came back to Mississippi after the Tucson little deal. And we were in Mississippi till I was started in the 9th grade. And then we moved back to Phoenix in the 9th grade, from Mississippi Farm to Phoenix. We moved from there to Denver, Colorado for just a few weeks. Didn't stay very long. And then back to the Mississippi Farm, all in the same year, my freshman year of high school. Okay. We're pretty much all over the country in my freshman year. Then we left the Mississippi Farm permanently in my sophomore year of high school. And we moved back to Mobile again for about 4 months. And then we moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And then that year, Dave, I went to 3 high schools in 1 year.
Three in 1 year.
Three high schools in 1 year.
Okay.
One in Mississippi, one in Alabama, and one in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
So then we moved from Atlanta to Griffin when I was a junior in high school, which is about 30 miles south of Atlanta. And then I started my senior year in high school in Griffin. And then Dad and them moved back to Atlanta. And I stayed there in Griffin trying to play with that Griffin high school team because I loved the coach so much and he loved me. But I couldn't do it. I wasn't grown enough and mature enough to handle living with a family I didn't know and just trying to make it from Monday to Friday and then go home on the weekends. It was kind of like being in college or something. So I went to live with my dad and my mom and Rob in Atlanta. I went to Briarcliff High School. And that's my senior year. And just a side note, Dave, I was a basketball player and a pretty good one, and getting a lot of publicity around the Atlanta area. And when Dad was a big figure there too, professionally, and everybody knew him as a wrestler. I was getting all this press going into my senior year. Is where's Ron Welch going to end up?
Yeah.
Is he going to end up in Griffin? Is he going to go to Atlanta? And I had all these coaches from other cities that had say, I'd like to have him. He can come here, that type of deal. So anyway, I end up at Briarcliff High School in Atlanta. And I end up that year as the most valuable player on the basketball team.
Wow.
The best basketball team they ever had. In 66 years, it's still the best basketball team they ever had.
Yeah.
And then at 66 years, in that season, I set a record in that school that's still a record today. I got 500 rebounds in 1 year, Dave. 20 better than 20 rebounds a game.
Wow, 500.
500 rebounds in 1 year.
Holy cow. Okay. How tall were you at that time?
I was about 6'8" by the time I was a senior in high school, and when I went to college, I grew another inch.
Yeah.
At Clemson, and then I got I might got close to 6'10" by the time I got to Miami. But I was pretty tall. But the reason I was doing so well as rebounding is because I was beginning to bulk up a little bit. I was beginning to get a little bit of a wrestler's body, and that year, my senior year, and being able to get that many rebounds, and you got to kind of knock bodies with guys if you're going to get rebounds. You can't just stay back from the rim and get too many rebounds. Yeah. So that's where I kind of seriously became interested and kind of could see the writing on the wall that I could be a wrestler someday.
And in some of the studcast, or a couple of specifically, you were a little frustrated because you were still known as your son of the wrestler, and it was even in the newspaper that way.
Oh yeah. One of the best write-ups I ever got was the headline is wrestler's son leads Briarcliff victory. Right. So I couldn't even get, my dad was still taking the spotlight, even though I had a 22-point and 22 rebound game. Yeah. Won the MVP in the tournament, the Christmas tournament. But he got the headlines. So, it was a little odd, but, it was really an experience. And what a great question, ma'am. I think I pretty well covered it, Shirley. Most of the cities, anyway. I may have missed something here or there, but wow, we moved. That's all I can say.
All right, good deal. Let's go to number 5. Bobby Dandridge says, love your story about the bully hog farmer next to your father's Mississippi farm that allowed his hogs to roam wherever they wanted and eat up all of his neighbor's crops. Did Buddy ever slaughter any of the hogs that you guys caught with the help of your bulldog, or did he just sell them for profit in Memphis?
Oh, Bobby's listening, man. Bobby's paying attention. We had a horrible situation, and my dad. This was, and I explained it in this number 15. My dad really had a he about had some real altercations with the guy next door who let his hogs just run everywhere and eat up our crops because we were very next to him. We had a big farm, but well, we raised everything, and we had a big old bulldog that was a bad son of a gun, man, and he was really good at catching hogs. He'd grab them by the ear, and they would just stand there and tremble and squeal until we came and wrap hog wire around their back legs. And we'd take 50 a week sometimes to Memphis and sell them. And Dad told him before we did it what he was going to do. He told the guy, hey, look, if you don't put a fence around your hogs here, he goes, and you let them just run wild. He goes, when they get on my property, I'm going to catch them. And the guy says, yeah, and you're going to bring them back. And he says, oh, no, I'm not going to bring them back to you. He says, I'm going to haul them to Memphis. I'm going to sell them.
Yeah, because your dad actually went down and confronted the man, just knocked on the door and said, hey.
Yeah. Said, hey, your hogs are eating up my crops.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So it was a good, nice little story there, So Bobby, you listened really close, but we never ate a single one of his hogs. And that's the truth. I mean, it wasn't not Dad's intention for us to feed off of the guy's hogs. But we sure put a dent in that number of hogs that guy owned. I can tell you that. So before we moved away from there, he was down to. I think he told the neighbor the neighbor says, "Is this all the hogs you got?" And he says, "Yeah. I only got a few shoats here." And he says, "I only got them so that wrestler has something to chase." So he's kind of out of the hog business before it was over.
All right, that's cool stuff. All right.
So, Dave, I went on and finished today. I got to thank my fans. It's just pretty amazing. I didn't mention it at the beginning of the show, but yesterday, the Tell Me More segments showed up on the top 100 wrestling podcast in the country.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Showed up at number 32, as a matter of fact, I believe. Okay. So a lot of people are listening to what we do here and to all the Studcast as well. In fact, the Studcast and the Tell Me More show was both in the top 40 of the 100.
Wow. Okay.
So I really, I want to really express my thanks to all the fans out there, man. When I hear these great questions like this show today here, I start thinking back on all these older Studcasts. Many of these, like this one here, was done more than 44 years ago. Way back, and I'm overwhelmed by my fans and their loyalty to what I do. And I have so much fun doing these Studcasts and doing these Tell Me More shows, recalling my family's history in such detail. And to think that people are still responding to it, Dave, it's humbling. It's extremely humbling, man, that so many people are interested in it. And I've been so blessed by the good Lord, man, to have lived an absolutely amazing life. And I've had so much success in so many different things, and I can only hope, man, that I'm going to live long enough, Dave, to finish all this, to continue to tell this story from my heart about my family, because, it's becoming my goal now in my life to finish all of this story. And I just thank everybody out there for listening.
Hey, Ron, no doubt that you're going to get it all out. It's in there, and it's coming out a little at a time, and you got plenty of time to get it done, and we're going to stand with you. Awesome job. There it is, another Southeastern Rewinds Tell Me More, where the stud answers 5 questions about Studcast number 15 in this case, which was called Calling the Hogs, and it's now on Ron's new home on YouTube. Remember to find Southeastern Rewind on YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell to get reminders on when the greatest stories in wrestling will be dropped on YouTube. Be sure to tell your friends about Southeastern Rewind. For Ron Fuller, it's an honor. I'm David Summers, and we'll be back soon with another Tell Me More.